It started on an ordinary Tuesday. I came home from work, exhausted, eating cold pizza straight from the box. My phone buzzed. A name I hadn't seen in months flashed on the screen. Emma. My best friend Ryan's little sister. We hadn't talked in years. She was always the quiet one, strange but harmless. The text said, "I need to tell you something." I thought maybe she needed help with her car or wanted to borrow money. Then she wrote, "I'm pregnant." I stared at the screen for a while. Didn't know what to say. Finally, I typed, "Congrats." Then came the second message. "It's yours." My stomach dropped. I laughed out loud because it made no sense. I had never been with her. Not once. Not even close. I told her she must be confused. She replied fast. "Don't lie, you're trying to get out of this." Her tone turned sharp, accusing. I tried staying calm. Said we could take a DNA test to be sure. She refused. Said it was insulting. Said real men didn't need tests. I knew then it wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a setup. The next day, my mom called me crying. "Why would you do this to her?" I didn't understand. Emma had already told my parents. Said I got her pregnant and was ignoring her. My dad's voice came through the phone like thunder. "You need to act like a man and take responsibility." I tried explaining. Told them I was out of town when she said it happened. Sent screenshots, call logs, GPS data. None of it mattered. They believed her. They blocked me afterward. I sat in my apartment in silence. Even Ryan stopped answering. People started posting online. Little hints. Some men just disappear when it gets hard. It spread fast. My phone filled with messages from strangers calling me names. At work, people whispered. My boss pulled me aside and asked if everything was okay at home. I said it was fine. But nothing was fine. Every night, I scrolled through her posts. Pictures of her baby bump. Captions about betrayal and being abandoned. She made me into a villain. And everyone loved the story. My roommate Mark tried to cheer me up. He said, "Man, this sounds like a bad Netflix plot." He wasn't wrong. Except this was my life. I stopped eating. Stopped sleeping. Every time my phone buzzed, I felt sick. I thought about calling Emma again. Asking her why. But I already knew. She didn't want truth. She wanted control. And she found it in a lie big enough to ruin me. That's when I realized something. I couldn't fight her with words. I needed proof. Real proof. So I waited. I saved every message, every screenshot. I wrote down dates, times, everything. Because someday, that truth would matter. And when it did, I'd make sure it destroyed the lie completely. Weeks turned into months. The rumors didn't fade. They grew like mold in the dark. People stopped asking if it was true. They just assumed it was. At work, no one looked me in the eye anymore. I could hear whispers when I walked by. "She's due soon. Poor girl, he really abandoned her." I learned how fast a lie becomes truth when enough people repeat it. I stopped explaining myself. What was the point? Even my own parents didn't believe me. They sent baby clothes to Emma. I saw the pictures online. My mom smiling, holding a pink blanket. It broke something in me. But I didn't yell. Didn't post anything. Didn't defend myself. I went silent. Because silence lets people underestimate you. While they talked, I planned. I started researching family law. Learned about paternity cases. If she listed me as the father, I could demand a DNA test. Didn't matter if she refused. The court would make her. That became my quiet goal. I kept screenshots of every message. Her accusations. Her refusal to test. Her posts calling me a coward. I backed up everything to the cloud. Every word she wrote was a brick in my defense. Mark, my roommate, noticed my obsession. He'd walk in at 2 a.m. and find me scrolling through legal forums. He'd hand me a beer and say, "You're building a case, not a life." He wasn't wrong. But I couldn't stop. I needed to be ready. When the baby came, I'd end this. Then one morning, it happened. I opened Instagram and froze. There it was. A photo of a newborn's tiny hand, gripping a finger. The caption said, "Miracles happen," and tagged Emma at the hospital. In the background, I saw my mom, smiling like nothing had ever been broken. No one had told me. Not my mother. Not my father. Not Ryan. I sat there staring at the screen until my coffee went cold. I didn't text anyone. Didn't call. Didn't rant. Just nothing. Because in that moment, I realized something awful. They were all fine with me being the villain. It made their lives easier. The truth didn't matter anymore. I was already convicted. So I changed my focus. I found a lawyer. A woman with sharp eyes and zero patience for drama. She listened as I explained everything. Didn't flinch. Didn't pity me. Just said, "We'll get the test, then we'll end this." I hired her that day. Finally, there was a path forward. I wasn't powerless anymore. I had a plan. And for the first time in months, I slept. Because once the truth was in motion, nothing could stop it. Not her lies. Not my parents. Not even the shame they tried to bury me under. The truth was coming. And I was done running from it. 2 weeks after hearing the lawyer, papers were filed. Emma was served at her house. I heard she cried, screamed, called me heartless. Said I was traumatizing her and the baby. But the judge didn't care about emotions. He wanted facts. He ordered the DNA test immediately. I watched her face in court, pale and trembling. She looked more angry than scared. Like she still believed the lie she told. Maybe she had told it so many times that it became real to her. The sample collection took 5 minutes. A swab, a signature, a chain of custody. Then the waiting began. 2 weeks. 14 days of silence, dread, and questions. I didn't tell anyone. Not my parents. Not Ryan. Not even Mark. I just worked, slept, and waited. At night, I stared at the ceiling and wondered what if. What if the impossible happened? What if the test said I was the father? I knew it wasn't true, but fear doesn't care about logic. On the 15th day, my lawyer called. Her tone was calm, professional, rehearsed. She confirmed my name, my file number, the case code. Then she said the words I'd been waiting for. 0% probability. Not the father. Just like that, the storm stopped. No cheers. No tears. Just silence. Relief didn't feel like victory. It felt like exhaustion. Months of chaos ended with a single sentence. I sent the result to my parents by email. Attached the file, subject line, "Results." No message, no explanation. Just the truth. 2 hours later, my mom replied, "This doesn't change how I feel." That was all. No apology. No regret. My dad's message came next. He said I was trying to humiliate the family. Said I should let it go and move on. He sounded angry that the lie had broken. Not that it existed. That night, Mark found me sitting in the dark. He tossed me a beer and said, "You won, right?" I nodded. But it didn't feel like winning. It felt like surviving. Then a week later, the phone rang again. Same number. Same woman from the lab. She said she needed to clarify something about the analysis. My stomach tightened. She spoke carefully, each word sharp and slow. "The child isn't yours," she said. "But there's a strong genetic connection." I didn't understand. She continued. The markers show a close family relationship, half-sibling or uncle. I froze. The world went quiet. My voice barely worked. Would that match if my father was the parent? She paused, then said softly, "Yes, exactly." I thanked her. Hung up. Stood there in silence. It wasn't shock anymore. It was confirmation, something too terrible to name. The baby wasn't mine. It was my father's. And suddenly, everything that never made sense began to fit perfectly. I didn't tell anyone what the lab said. Not my mom. Not Ryan. Not even Mark. I carried the truth like a loaded weapon. Every memory with my father replayed in slow motion. His anger. His obsession with defending Emma. The way he cut me off the moment she accused me. He wasn't protecting her. He was protecting himself. He knew the lie could collapse any day. And he needed someone to take the fall. Someone close enough to make it believable. Someone like me. The realization burned through me like acid. But I didn't explode. Not yet. I stayed calm. Waited for the right moment. I started texting my mom again. Small talk. Just enough to rebuild trust. She missed me, I could tell. She sent pictures of the garden. Asked about work. She didn't mention Emma or the baby. Neither did I. My dad even sent me money once. Said he wanted to help me get back on track. I thanked him. Played along. Let him think I'd forgiven him. All while planning his collapse. Ryan was harder to reach. He was quiet, distant. Still believed parts of Emma's story. One night, I called him anyway. We talked for an hour. He said Emma was acting strange. Overprotective. Wouldn't let anyone near the baby. He said, "It's like she's hiding something." I said softly, "Maybe she is." He didn't respond, but I could hear the gears turning in his head. That's when I knew he suspected too. Maybe he'd seen something. Maybe deep down, he already knew the truth. I told him we should all meet for dinner. A chance to clear the air. He agreed. I sent messages to my parents and Emma. "Let's all talk, I think it's time." No one refused. They probably thought I wanted peace. But peace wasn't the plan. The restaurant was small, old, quiet. A family place my mom loved. We sat around the table, pretending to be normal. Emma had the baby strapped to her chest. My dad sat beside her, silent. My mom across from me, nervous. Ryan next to me, shaking his leg under the table. No one touched their food. After 20 minutes of awkward silence, I stood up. I said, "Before dessert, I have something to share." Everyone looked at me. I pulled the DNA report from my bag. "This says the baby isn't mine," I said. No one spoke. Then I flipped to the second page. But it also says the baby is related to me, very closely. Emma froze. My mom's lips tightened. My dad leaned back, eyes darting. I looked straight at him. "Want to explain why your grandchild is actually your child?" The table went silent. The truth finally had a voice. And it sounded like destruction. The silence after my words felt endless. No one moved. No one breathed. Emma's face went white, her mouth open but empty. My mom's eyes filled with disbelief, then rage. Ryan stared at his sister, like he'd never seen her before. My dad tried to speak first. He said, "This is a mistake. Labs make errors all the time." His voice trembled. He was desperate to control the room. I didn't give him the chance. I opened my laptop, pulled up the email from the lab. Showed them the signature, the timestamp, the chain of custody. "This isn't a cheap test," I said. "It's certified, it's real." The color drained from my mom's face. Then she stood up and slapped him. The sound echoed through the whole diner. People turned to stare. No one said a word. Emma started crying, loud and messy. She clutched the baby to her chest like a shield. Said I was being cruel. Said I didn't understand what she'd been through. Then she ran out, sobbing, leaving her purse behind. My mom followed, shaking. Ryan stood up next. He looked at my dad, disgusted. He said, "Don't ever talk to me again." Then he left too. Now it was just me and him. My father. The man who'd let me burn for his sin. He sat there, staring at the table. Didn't deny it anymore. Didn't apologize either. Just silence. I waited a minute, then stood. Tossed a 20 on the table out of habit. Said, "You wanted me to be the man. I just did it." Then I walked out. Mark was waiting in the parking lot. He leaned on his car, holding 2 coffees. He looked at my face and said, "So nuclear." I nodded. He handed me 1 cup and said, "Good, let it burn." That night, I sat alone in my apartment. The adrenaline faded, replaced by something heavier. It wasn't victory. It was finality. The lie was dead. But the damage was permanent. The next morning, my lawyer called. I told her everything. She said what happened wasn't just betrayal, it was fraud. Emma nomming me on legal paperwork was paternity fraud. Letting it continue knowingly was conspiracy. She said, "We can pursue both civil and criminal angles." So we did. Emma got served with a lawsuit for emotional distress, defamation, and fraud. My father wasn't safe either. My lawyer filed a report with all the texts, all the timelines. He'd helped create the lie. He'd watched it destroy me. And now it was his turn to face consequences. But I didn't rush it. I wanted the truth to sink into everyone first. The dinner was just the explosion. The lawsuits were the aftershock. I didn't post anything. Didn't brag. Didn't explain. I just let the truth breathe. Because once it's out, it doesn't need help. It grows on its own. And soon, it would swallow them whole. The days after the dinner felt unreal. The truth was out, and nothing could be undone. I didn't call anyone. Didn't try to explain. I just waited for the fallout to begin. And it did. My mom filed for divorce within a week. I found out through Ryan. He sent me a photo of the court documents. No warning, no talk, just action. She'd listed marital misconduct and paternity fraud in the filing. Not just for the affair, but for letting me take the blame. She wrote that he had knowingly allowed his son to be defamed. I didn't know whether to feel proud or broken. She moved out of the house that same week. Her lawyer contacted mine. They were going for everything: the house, the savings, the pension. Ryan told me she was calm, colder than he'd ever seen her. He said my dad didn't even fight back. Just packed his things and stayed silent. Then the community found out. Small towns spread rumors fast. My dad was removed from a charity board he'd served on for years. They cited ethical concerns. Translation: they didn't want his name near theirs. Emma tried to rewrite the story. She said my dad manipulated her. Said she was scared and confused. Claimed he told her to blame me or he'd leave her. Maybe there was truth in that. Maybe not. But she wasn't innocent. She was 23, not a child. She knew what her lie did to me. She watched it destroy my life and said nothing. My lawyer moved forward with the civil suit. Every text, every message, every post was evidence. The court didn't hesitate. They scheduled a hearing for damages and defamation. Emma lawyered up, tried to get it dismissed. It didn't work. You can't fake a child and walk away clean. Meanwhile, the DA's office quietly opened an inquiry. Filing false paternity paperwork can be criminal. If they proved she did it knowingly, she could face charges. My father wasn't safe either. My mom's divorce lawyer added a new claim: aiding and abetting fraudulent filings. It might not put him in prison, but it would destroy him financially. He lost friends, lost respect, lost everything he lied to protect. Emma left town soon after. No goodbye. No apology. Ryan told me she was in therapy. I hoped it helped her, but I didn't care anymore. I blocked her number and moved on. My dad sent letters for a while. Apologies wrapped in excuses. I never read them. I forwarded them all to my lawyer. I focused on rebuilding my life instead. Got promoted at work. Moved to a new apartment. Bought a car that actually worked. Then I met someone. Told her everything. Every ugly detail. She listened and said, "At least you survived it." She was right. I did. And now, when I think back, I realize something. The lie tried to bury me. But the truth became the shovel that dug me out. And that's all the closure I'll ever need. Time passed, and the noise faded. The lawsuits ended. The anger burned out. What remained was silence. My mom rebuilt her life. Ryan moved to another state. My dad disappeared into his own guilt. Emma became a name people whispered, not spoke. And me, I started breathing again. The weight finally lifted. The truth didn't fix everything, but it freed me. I learned that closure isn't peace. It's acceptance. It's knowing you did what you had to do, even when it broke you. Sometimes, I still think about that night at the diner. The look on my father's face when he realized the lie was dead. I don't hate him anymore. Hate takes energy I no longer owe him. I just don't care. I built something new. Something honest. And when people ask about my past, I just say this. Once, I almost raised my own half-sibling. Once, I lost everything to a lie. But the truth came back for me. And when it did, it burned everything false to ash.